It's the Drake Toll Show. Good morning. Drake Toll with you. Pretty self-explanatory there. Savannah Bananas organization, Locked On Big 12, Amazon Fire TV's college football kickoff, and this could be the first day of the rest of our lives. Welcome to the Drake Toll Show. Have a seat. You're getting in your car to go to work. You're sitting at your kitchen table eating breakfast. You got to school early today. You know, when I was a kid, which wasn't that long ago, by the way, if you got to school early enough, they would gather you in the library. This is, elementary, middle school. You would gather in the library or the gym, and they would put a movie on, typically like a Homeward Bound or the little rat that has motorcycle, Stuart Little. They'd throw those on there. Maybe you're doing that right now. You're the teacher's aide at a school, and you're watching Stuart Little on the big screen in the gymnasium for the kids that got to school early. And maybe, if that is the case, if you're awake right now, maybe you missed the end of Miami and Ole Miss. And if you did, you missed history. A classic. And I get it. You had to go to sleep. You got to be up early. You got to be up at 4:45. I understand that. And that's why the Drake Toll Show exists, to tell you what happened, how it happened, and break the news to you. The Miami Hurricanes are going to the national championship for the first time in 23 years. I'm going to compare them to Mount Vesuvius today, and it is going to make sense in your brain. You can be involved. 310-840-4910. You can call the Drake Toll Show. You can text the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, 310-840-4910 for the question of the day. And as it relates to the Ole Miss and Miami game, very apropos, can we call pass interference on a Hail Mary? Are we allowed to do pass interference when a guy's flinging it up, 25-yard, 30-yard bomb at the end of the game to go win it? Where do we draw the line on what is PI in the end zone and what is not? That is a question that will follow us over the course of the next 15 minutes as I gift you the sounds of the evening in Miami's victory. But before they were victorious, we'll take you to the second quarter where Kewan Lacey sent a message to the Ole Miss Rebels.
Start the second half, or second quarter. Up the middle, Lacey, he breaks into clear. He may go. He's to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. Touchdown, Ole Miss, right up the gut.
There you go. There you go. Look around, Kewan Lacey. Send a message to the rest of your team. We may be down 3-0. We may not have scored or moved the ball well in the first quarter. But watch this, 73 yards. David Kellum, the Ole Miss Radio Network. That reinvigorates an Ole Miss squad that now leads by 4 in the second quarter of play. But not if Carson Beck has something just a couple drives later to say about it to Keelan Marion.
Stands tall, drifts right, scans the field, looks, throws, deep down the field. He's got a man out there, and it's caught for a touchdown. It's Marion, 52 yards for the Miami touchdown. What a throw by Carson Beck.
That's Don Bailey on the Miami Radio Network as the Miami Hurricanes would go into the break with the lead against Ole Miss, and they had the momentum. The first half felt like Miami's half because of the defense. If you listened to this show yesterday, you would have known that. You'd have been prepared for that. The defense of Miami is what was going to be the difference if they won the game, and they did win the game on the back of their defense. But it would only get more and more chaotic. 17-13 is your halftime score. In the first half, Miami started the game with a 56% chance to win. In the middle of the second quarter, it had dumped back down to Ole Miss, a 51% chance to win. Then it climbs back up. Miami at points in time in the third quarter, a 70, then 80% chance of victory against Ole Miss. And we'll give you, for the Miami Hurricanes, interesting. I'm seeing here a Carson Beck pass to Malachi Toney for 36 yards.
Fires over to Toney for a bubble screen. Toney strips to the 30-yard line. Toney to the 25. Here we go. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. He's in to the end zone. Touchdown, Malachi Toney. 36 breathtaking yards. Puts Miami in front with 5:04 to go in the game. Miami 23, Ole Miss 19.
And it could not have come at a better time in the game where Ole Miss was leading and in the early fourth quarter had a 68% chance of victory. We have gone back and forth between the Hurricanes and the Rebels as the mighty Ole Miss team would not go away, though Miami took a late lead. Then Trinidad Chambliss, ball in hand, opportunity inside of 5 minutes to go to take the lead or try to bring his team back. Finds,
3:20 left to play, 24-19 Miami. Chambliss in the pocket, throws for the end zone. He's got his man, Daquan Wright, on a corner route on the opposite side of the field, catches it and scores. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
But was there too much time for Ole Miss to go up 25-24? Had they given Miami the opportunity, the window open with 2.5 minutes to go to rally and win this game, or at least to tie it with a field goal? Well, that was the goal. The Ole Miss Rebels needed to go for 2, and Trinidad Chambliss was that guy.
Rebels will go for 2. Chambliss in a gun. He's got 2 receivers right from the 3-yard line. There's the snap. Fakes the give, wants to throw, launches back in the end zone, wide open. Odom hauls it in, and the Rebels get 2. So a field goal for Miami would only tie it. 27-24 Ole Miss on an unbelievable semi-game here in Zona.
With a minute to go in the contest, because remember, Ole Miss is now taking the lead by 3, but giving Miami the ball, Carson Beck the ball, inside of 3 minutes to go, that's plenty enough time to get down the field. In college football, plenty enough time, especially with a 2-minute timeout to get down the field. But the Rebels still have, with a minute to go in this game, up 27-24, an 81% chance of victory until Carson Beck does it himself.
Beck holds his hands out, takes, drops,
To the
looks,
right, to the
looks,
right.
looked, wants to
Run
throw
it,
it down the
baby,
road,
you got
takes
it,
it
you
open
got it,
field.
you got it.
Carson Beck into the end zone. He runs it in over the left side. Carson Beck takes it in for a Miami touchdown. Miami touchdown for Carson Beck.
Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss would get the ball back well under a minute to go, under a half minute to go, and march the ball down the field, put themselves in a position on the final play of the game to heave it 30 yards to the end zone. The pass would fall short. Miami would win 31-27. The problem, and this goes back to the question from earlier, can you commit pass interference? That's what a lot of Ole Miss fans are going to take away from the end of this game, is very obviously there is a corner with a right hand on the collar of an Ole Miss wide receiver in the end zone, just pulling him, yanking him down on the final play of the game. But you've been told this since the beginning of time. If it's a Hail Mary, there's no such thing as a pass interference. We're all just jockeying for position down there. There's hand fighting back and forth. The ESPN rules analyst came on and said, I think this is just hand fighting. No pass interference. Now, in my opinion, if you grab a guy by the collar and pull him down, in any context in football, you should probably be flagged for a pass interference. But it's not as though that no call screwed Ole Miss out of the game. Miami won this game. Miami's EPA, their efficiency last night, was incredible. Namely, on the exact things that I told you yesterday would happen. Miami on third down, they were in the 84th percentile. 57% success rate, offensively and defensively combined on third down. Ole Miss, 25% third down success rate when you combine their efficiency on offense and defense. That was the difference. The late downs were the difference. And yesterday I told you Miami will have short field on the late downs. Their defense is going to force Ole Miss into long third downs, and that will be the difference in the game. And it felt last night like the difference in the game when there were a ton of explosive plays. You just heard about those explosive plays. Miami combined on fourth down, third and fourth down, 13 for 21. That's good. Ole Miss on third and fourth down, 2 for 10. Oh, isn't it great when you come to the Drake Toll show and you're about to go to work? You're like, I need the one takeaway. I need the one takeaway. What's the key? And yesterday, that was the back in time noise. Yesterday, we're sitting right here, you and me. It's like, hey, by the way, third down will be the difference in this game. I just gave you the numbers. We just got the calls. Third down was the difference in the game. The Miami Hurricanes. If you're a Hurricanes fan, like, this is real. You can touch yourself. Like, you're sentient. You exist today. And Miami is going to the college football playoff national championship. Again, credit to David Kellum of the Ole Miss Radio Network and Don Bailey of the Miami Radio Network for those calls. But it's time. I buried the lead here. That's how the game happened. Here's the context of the game. Here's what this does for college football. Myself, Drake Toll. Big college football guy. Love watching it. I have been alive. Ready for this? Drum roll, please. Again, not literally, Curtis. I've been alive 24 years. That changes in like a week. It'll be 25. That's not a lot of years. It's not a lot of years. I was an extreme infant. I'm not sure if anyone's ever used the phrase extreme infant, but I was in the extreme period of my infancy. Oof. Where am I going with this? The last time Miami went to the national championship game 23 years ago. But they just keep coming back. Remember Howard Schnellenberger? Remember Jimmy Johnson? Dennis Erickson? The streets remember Larry Coker. Listen to this. Howard Schnellenberger. After everyone else ever had sucked at Miami as the head coach, Schnellenberger goes 41-16, starts rattling off national championship opportunities. He's got a ring. Jimmy Johnson steps in. The U in the 80s, 52-9. Dennis Erickson, 63-9. And then they go dark. Butch Davis goes 51-20. Gross. Throw up my mouth. That's not national championship caliber. We want more. Here comes Larry Coker. Bang. 23 years ago, national champions. He goes 60-15 and gets fired for underperforming. That's nuts. And then again, Miami, they love to go through these periods of dormancy, through these periods of being not that good. 23 years later, after guys like Randy Shannon, Al Golden, streets remember Al Golden, Mark Richt, Manny Diaz. After those guys fail, in comes Mario Cristobal to take them to the national championship. Did you know, when you hear Vesuvius, you're like, oh yeah, it's the Pompeii thing, right? The Plinian event. Pliny the Younger, whose letters gave us the account, the first-hand account, 79 A.D., the pyroclastic flows. I took rocks for jocks in college, Dr. Steve Dworkin, earthquakes and natural disasters. That was my senior year, freshman level course, hardest class I ever took, only C that I got in college. I asked Dr. Dworkin, Dr. D, after class one day, like, hey, can I have some help? I need help here. And he's like, well, how's your freshman year going? Well, Dr. D, I'm a senior amidst the freshmen. Never do that, by the way. Don't try to reverse it for the easy stuff later on. I learned about Vesuvius. 62 mile an hour, ash and gas, 300 degrees Celsius. But that was in 79 AD. What you don't know, 1631, the Great Awakening, Vesuvius erupts again. Again, 15 towns. 3,000 to 4,000 deaths. There were so many deaths, bodies everywhere. Good morning. There were so many deaths. They're off by 1,000 on the scale of what it could have been when Vesuvius had his Great Awakening in 1631. But then, you didn't know. 1906. You're like, oh yeah, Pompeii, that's what happened. No, it kept happening. 1906. Over 100 people died. This is the modern, we're getting way more modern. Over 100 people die in Naples. So intense, it disrupted the 1908 Summer Olympics when Vesuvius erupted again. The Olympic Games were moved from Rome to London due to economic strain of Vesuvius eruption in 1906. And then in 1944, it just kept happening. Why would you live at the base of a volcano? The eruption destroyed 88 Allied B-25 bombers. The idiot of the day decided to put 88 Allied B-25 bombers right at the base of Vesuvius in Pompeii. Stupid. Ash, golf ball-sized chunks of lava were falling from the sky 10 miles away. 10 miles away. It's a volcano within a volcano. That's what Miami is. You're like, oh, wow, yeah, Canes went away for 20 years. The Canes went away for 100 years. And then they come back and they do it again, even in the years where you just don't think Miami is a power broker, a power player. Not a lot of new blood. Fresh last night. That was how ESPN opened the broadcast. This is fresh blood. I think they were looking for new blood. Fresh blood freaked me out a little bit. These are fresh blood here at the Fiesta Bowl, the VRBO Fiesta Bowl. Yeah, but Miami's been here, man. They destroyed Pompeii once, and they keep destroying Pompeii every few decades. When they come back, they go dormant, but when they come back, it's immediate. It is immediate. They're in the national championship game with a transfer quarterback in Carson Beck, who everybody wrote off. I don't think he's – last night was the story of adversity for Carson Beck. I'm not subscribing to that exactly. Oh, how hard he must have had it being the Georgia starting quarterback, winning 2 national championships. Oh, no. But it was cool to see. It was cool to see how Miami is built. Losing to SMU, losing to Louisville, a freshman to Malachi Toney, a defense that is elite, shutting down the Ole Miss Rebels, proverbially. I mean, 27 points is still really good, but Miami at 31 against an elite offense, allowing 27, I'll give it to them. And they'll take it as they go to the national championship. Vesuvius, did you know that? It wasn't just the one Pompeii thing. It kept erupting like every few hundred years. And then it got to the point every 2 or 3 decades. Just, ash and hail, lava hail. I'm way over time. Up next, NFL coaching carousel update. Mike McDaniel may be the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. 310-840-4910. It's your chance to weigh in on whether or not that's the right move for the Ravens. 310-840-4910. Drake Toll, Westwood One Sports, Westwood One Sports app, and this, which is the Drake Toll Show.
Gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction. Sorcerer of death's
Hello, everyone.
Why can't I hear him?
In the
I don't
fields
know.
of bodies burning.
Oh,
As the war machine
Can you now?
keeps turning.
Can you now?
yes.
Death and hatred to mankind.
The day is going to come where Xfinity has an outage in my house because Xfinity loves to do that. And we don't have a backup. Right?
Politicians darkness world stops turning.
Ten.
It just feels right. You and I doing the mornings together. Pause. The Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. I got onboarded yesterday at Cumulus. Westwood One. Learned about the company. Learned about the CEO. Pretty cool stuff. She meets with every employee at the company. Like 7 meetings a day. It's got to be. Like we have people, 3,000 employees across the country. Good stuff. Officially onboarded. The job begins. I can get paid. And then we can sit here. You, myself. You're coming back from the gym. Good for you, man. You went to the gym today. That's good for you. You're better than I. I got up this morning to the dog that I decided. Again, it's such a mid-20s thing. I already have a dog. But there's the 2-dog rule. If you have a dog, you need a dog friend for said dog. That's the route that I went. What I forgot is when you rescue an animal that's inside of a year old, it has to learn things. You have to teach it things. So we're still dealing with the pooping in the house, which who among us, everyone's been there at times in their life. We're like, hey, I've got to go, and the carpet looks like the place to do that. That seems to be the case for Sunday. You know, I've never... Every now and then, I told you this yesterday, I'll tell you again. Every now and then I'll read comments for things. Typically don't. Like any given week, you'll get, genuinely 2 weeks ago, 3,000 people were like, this guy is an idiot. And I don't disagree. I don't entirely disagree. It's just not, I can't read 3,000 of those within the span of a week and still have time to do the fun things like frolic and play and touch grass, which many people on the internet forget to do. What I love about you on your radio right now, there is some piece of you that is still wholesome and protected because you're listening to the radio. You're not corrupted by this modern world of social media, unless you're listening on Twitter. Thank you. Not corrupted by this modern world of social media where it's instant gratification and people can say whatever they want behind a wall. But I was reading the comments, and one of the things that people were, one of the things that's prevalent was like, man, it's a really serious morning show. Serious? What? Serious? I don't need to be that for you. I want to be your dog friend. That's all I'm here for in the mornings. That's the goal here, man. It's like the 2-dog rule. Like we're both just dogs in this together. And I hope that makes sense to you. But it's just what I thought of today when I couldn't sleep because Sunday, the dog that I rescued, is my new therapy dog for my other dog. Also, it's Sunday. This is so insufferable. I saw another comment. It's like, it's such a fratty show. Like, fratty? What? You gotta be kidding me. It is Sunday with an E and not a Y. So insufferable. Like, why would I ever get a blonde dog? Name it Sunday with an E and not a Y. That I may be the worst type of human being that exists because of that alone. But thank you, dog, for being here on the Drake Toll Show. Good to have you. The NFL postseason begins now. 310-840-4910. Your existence on the Drake Toll Show can begin now. 310-840-4910 to chime in on the Drake Toll Show on the Westwood One Sports app. But before we get to the postseason, maybe the way more fun approach to this whole thing is the coaching carousel. Black Monday turned into Black Tuesday. Black Tuesday turned into Black Thursday. You're fired. Oh, and you You're specifically getting fired because another guy got fired that we might want to coach our team. Mike McDaniel, gone. No longer the Dolphins head coach. We just saw that Detroit is making a move at offensive coordinator. Could McDaniel be the answer? I don't think so. And here's why I don't think so. Because I want Mike McDaniel as a head coach in the National Football League. Guy who went 35-33 with the Dolphins, and you're sitting right there as we speak in the sauna at the YMCA, no free ads. And you're thinking, did that dude really just say Mike McDaniel should be a head coach in the NFL? Yes, I want to take you back 3 years. I want to take you back 3 years and remind you what the league was saying about Tua Tagovailoa and remind you what we've seen from Tua Tagovailoa. A guy who has had high highs. Yes, when he's on, a beauty to watch. But he's just not on that much. And your opinion then was Mike McDaniel is completely revolutionizing what Tua Tagovailoa looks like. He is revolutionizing what the Dolphins look like. He's an offensive genius. That was your take 3 years ago. That's what you believed. And I don't think the offensive genius part changes. Now, is he relatable to the players? There's the legendary story of how he met his wife. She was dating one of the players. This is years ago, by the way. It's not a now thing. It's much funnier when you realize he was like a GA. He wasn't. He was just on staff. I was like, all right, marries the gal. He's a quirky guy, yes. But the offensive acumen, the explosive offense that he can build, that nerdy, weird football guy, X's and O's. You loved that 3 years ago. You loved that. Do you think that changes? Do you think that part of his brain's broken? Do you think he's not spending enough time focusing on it? Because I don't. Some things are just structural disadvantages that coaches go through. And there are organizations like the Baltimore Ravens, and there were reports yesterday that the Ravens could be interested, that this could be an interview at the very least with Mike McDaniel. There are structural reasons that you fail at some organizations like the Dolphins, like the Browns. Oh, he put the Dolphins and the Browns in the same conversation. Man, the Dolphins have not been sustainably good in a long time. And Mike McDaniel gave you a shot of that, of what it felt like, what it looked like to win again. Kevin Stefanski just did that with the Browns. You have two head coaches, playoff head coaches. One of them that is like, it could be a Dan Campbell. Players love him. Kevin Stefanski can build. Another one is an analytical offensive genius. Give Mike McDaniel a Lamar Jackson. Give him a Josh Allen. Imagine what he could do. Imagine what he could concoct and cook up, namely with the right defensive staff at his side. The quote from the upper-level management in Miami. After careful evaluation and extensive discussion since the season ended, wrong. I've made the decision that our organization is in need of comprehensive change. Maybe. I informed Mike McDaniel this morning he's been relieved of his duties as head coach. I love Mike. Wrong. Want to thank him for his hard work, commitment, and the energy brought to our organization. Mike is an incredibly creative football mind. Right. Whose passion for the game and his players was evident every day. Maybe. I wish him and his family the best moving forward. But that's not. Why don't we just say it? Let's say the quiet part out loud. Hold my hand. We'll say it together. Stephen Ross, owner of the Miami Dolphins. Say it with me. We are firing Mike McDaniel to hire John Harbaugh. The timeline of this is incredible. You told me that Mike McDaniel was going to be the guy to help you hire a GM. He's going to be involved in this process. And then a couple of days later, you fired him. They were 8-9 in 2024, 7-10 in 2025. I'm not going to make any excuses that the Dolphins were good, but they weren't bottoming out. Do you look at the Dolphins roster? My dog? Do you look at the Dolphins roster and think playoffs, Super Bowl? Whoa, can't wait to watch Tua go out there. Super excited to see Tua play. They can win with that guy. I haven't seen a winning Tua Tagovailoa. I haven't seen that consistently in a few years. I haven't seen him be the guy that could win a Super Bowl in a few years. And the owner tells me the head coach is going to be involved in the coaching search. Then John Harbaugh gets fired, and you say, oh, just kidding. That guy who is going to be the a key factor in the coaching search is actually not going to be in the GM search, I should say, is not going to be the coach anymore. And it sounds like they are going to hire a GM. In the next few days, the 4 finalists will interview in person Chad Alexander of the Chargers, John Eric Sullivan of the Packers, Josh Williams of the 49ers, and the interim GM, Champ Kelly. We'll see. There are some extreme John Harbaugh ties to a couple of those names that would make so much sense in Miami, but I wonder, I personally think I could trust John Harbaugh with the keys to a winning team. I could trust John Harbaugh if the Bills decided to make a move. I could see that working out. A fresh start with a team that could win the Super Bowl with John Harbaugh, who I think the players like, maybe. But is Miami in that spot where they're ready to compete even with John Harbaugh? I just don't think so. Maybe Quinn Ewers is the guy. Is that who you're starting over with as the quarterback? The guy who started the final 3 games? The Texas kid? I think you're about to see an overhaul. I think you may see a bridge coach. Every organization loves to tell you, well, we want to compete right now, today. We want to do this. We're not rebuilding. I think Miami's about to go into a rebuild. I don't want to be the coach of that. I don't want to be the coach of your rebuild. I want to be the coach of a team that wants to win the Super Bowl and win it now. But Miami has to understand they are not capable of that. Back-to-back winning seasons, back-to-back playoff bursts. Miami, who was so bad, instantly rejuvenated by Mike McDaniel, and now he is fired, no longer the head coach. Where will he land? Where will John Harbaugh land? Where will Kevin Stefanski land? Is Matt Nagy a head coach again in the National Football League? The streets forget sometimes. He won some games with the Bears. He didn't lose all of his games. Is he a head coach? Is Deion Sanders? Uh-oh. Don't let him cook. Don't let him cook. Is Deion Sanders an option for the Browns? Should be. Deion Sanders should be the number 1 option for the Browns. Man, I was listening to the radio today, and the host said that Deion Sanders should be the head coach of the Browns. And I thought that's one of the stupidest things I ever heard. You're probably saying to yourself now. But Deion Sanders walked into Colorado and changed the GDP of Boulder. The Browns aren't going to hire Deion to win. Buddy, the Browns aren't going to hire anyone to win, actually. So why not just have a little fun? Why not be the talk of the town for months, years? Because Deion and Shador. And I know, I get it. Man, I just can't. It's so insufferable to me to think about that. Deion Sanders and Shador for the Browns. But once you've forgotten about winning, once you've given up on winning and want to have a little bit of fun, that exposure, the jersey sales, the coaches' jersey sales would fly. You would have a reality TV show in your organization, and if that makes you way more money for 3 years to build upon, worth it to me. We have weeks of this, by the way, which is incredible. The coaching carousel continues to spin in the NFL, and there are so many avenues it could go, including Nick Wright saying the Eagles could move on from Nick Sirianni. No. Patullo, maybe. Sirianni, no. On the other side, biggest losers of the day. I'm calling you out, dentists. Yeah, that's right. They've landed themselves dentists on the biggest losers of the day. But there's a reason why. This is the Drake Toll Show.
She just caught the Jamestown ferry. It's not a hot day, January, like she said it'd be if she ever left me. A case of gone was all she carried as she got on the Jamestown ferry. And she said that gone was all she'd ever be. I didn't think that she'd leave me after saying how much she need me. But the fact still remains, I'm sitting there all alone, missing the loving of my baby. Lord, it's about to drive me crazy. She was the sweetest piece of ever I've ever known. She just caught the Jamestown ferry. It's not a hot day, January, like she said it'd be if she ever left me. A case of gone was all she carried as she got on the Jamestown ferry. And she said that gone was all she'd ever be. As I walk through that valley of honky-tonks and bars, I remember how she'd hold me, comfort me with talk. She didn't cuss with every breath. She had a soothing southern drawl, made me feel like a man through it all. She just caught the Jamestown ferry. It's not a hot day, January, like she said it'd be if she ever left me.
You're on the Drake Toll Show. Drake Toll, Savannah Bananas, Locked On Big 12, Amazon Fire TV's college football kickoff. We live in a society where the Miami Hurricanes may win a national championship before winning their first ACC championship. That's crazy. And a society, a world, where the SEC kicks off our day of the biggest losers. Tough, man. I was told the Southeastern Conference is the league to beat. It is the conference in college football. The SEC will now go 3 years without even competing for a national championship after winning 16 of 17 titles from 2006 to 2022. I'm not here to poop all over the SEC. Actually, the FCC would not allow me to do that. Producer of the Drake Toll Show, Addie Bates, you gave me this the other day, FCC regulations on bodily functions?
Yeah, so between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., you can't really talk about bodily functions. It is considered indecent.
So the previous mention of defecation, I scratched from the record. It is not my goal to defecate on the SEC entirely. As someone who grew up in Arkansas, rooting for the SEC and the Arkansas Razorbacks. But yeah, I mean, there's no two ways around it. 16 to 17 years is great, and you're still probably overall... you're not, actually. You're not. The Big Ten is. The Big Ten's the best conference in college football. The SEC has completely fallen apart the last 3 postseasons in not making the national championship game. Once again, we'll sit down on a Monday and see Miami either play Oregon or Indiana. No SEC team in sight. Michigan, Ohio State have previous championships. It is the Big Ten's world. They're going to win another one. Indiana's going to win the national championship. It's a world in which the Big Ten runs it, and the SEC is the biggest loser today. That'll be a huge offseason storyline. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, and where in the world is the Southeastern Conference? Biggest loser, number 2. I'm going to number them today. Speaking of defecation, number 2, Jackson Dart. Oops. One of those moments you just don't know the camera's on you at a football game on the sidelines. You got to be careful what you say. The lip readers of Twitter have taken over, and the exact second they pan the camera to Dart, the staffer he's with says something along the lines of something along the lines of who's next, who's the next coach, and Dart pretty clearly gives him back, I don't know, Harbaugh or Stefanski, but I don't know. You can, the word Stefanski is really tough to not pick out when you're lip reading. Definitely drop the word Stefanski in there. Thanks for the insider baseball. I'll go to Kalshi or the Poly Market. Poly Market's a crazy thing, by the way. Did you know you can bet on how long the White House press briefing is? Over and under? There's insider trading on these things. These Poly Market deals. Like if I know, this is a wild one, I had a buddy of mine tip me off, hey, Kyle Whittingham's the next head coach of Michigan. Okay, great. I go to the Poly Market. I put $100 on it and can win $6,000. That's not real. Those numbers aren't real. But you can if you have insider information. Wild how those things work. So there you go. Harbaugh or Stefanski. Go place your bets. Buy your stocks now. Biggest losers of the day here on the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, Westwood One Sports app. Dentists. Yeah, that's right. You're getting up right now. You're an orthodontist. You counting this too. I'm going to loop you in there. You're getting up right now, ready to go to the dentist office where you work. Imagine. See, I shudder. I have a dentist appointment January 21st. If you want like a meet and greet autograph session, now you know where to find me, January 21st. I have a dentist appointment. It's the worst place to go. The place that I go, they have the TVs above you where you're looking up and they're playing Finding Nemo or Peppa Pig. Any assortment. Did you know Peppa Pig is getting a theme park in Frisco, Texas, in Dallas? Peppa Pig. I did not know that pig was big enough for theme park levels of fame. But yes, they're playing that at the dentist's office. But when the adults walk in, and you sit down in the chair, they turn off Peppa Pig and they turn on just the ocean with some really weird music. Like, you know when you go to the Chinese buffet and they're playing religious music, but it's just on the sitar? That's what this was. That's what my dentist's office is. And they're our biggest losers of the day.
Drake Toll.
Not because of... What?
Do you go to a pediatric dentist still?
Possibly. Is that what we're learning today?
All right. Keep going.
Maybe I'm the only adult that does walk in there, and that's why things get really awkward and weird. Maybe that's why they changed the TV channel. Dan Lanning said it was cool arriving at the hotel with his family last night, preparing for one of the biggest games of his career. Said he told his kids, if your dad was a dentist, you wouldn't be doing this right now. Yeah. Take that, dentist. Double bird right there. Get effed. What did the dentist do to Dan Lanning? Told his kids, if your dad was a dentist, you wouldn't be doing this right now. Well, at least their dad would be home. They would get to spend more time with him probably, and their teeth would be quality. They wouldn't have any cavities. Shout out Willy Wonka, the Tim Burton version with who's the actor? Addie, come on. Johnny Depp. His dad's a dentist in that movie. Biggest Loser, Dr. Oz. We're keeping it dentist adjacent. Dr. Oz explains new alcohol guidelines. Brand new ones. We just invented this concept. His quote, "Don't have it for breakfast." Bang! We've done it again. We've done it again. What are these people getting paid? How do I get paid this stuff? Hey, I got a new alcohol guideline. Had an idea last night. Don't have it for breakfast. Don't drink it in the morning. This guy's spitting. This guy's spitting fire. Beer for breakfast, beer for lunch, beer for supper. I've got a hunch. Mimosas, bottomless mimosas. I live in Savannah, Georgia. This town was built on bottomless mimosas. Every place. Oh, hello. We're a brunch place. Want a bottomless mimosa for $45? Which actually, I guess it's not a bad price for endless alcohol. The biggest losers are people who have these brunch restaurants. Or maybe they're the biggest winners and I'm the losers. Because the second you label it brunch, every plate just becomes minimum $18. We start at $18 for 2 eggs, some frozen potatoes, and a piece of toast. Either undercooked or overcooked. They never get it correct. But it's brunch, so it's $18. Enjoy your mimosa. James Madison Athletic Department. Biggest loser. James Madison had Kurt Signetti and Mark Byington in the same athletic department in 2023. Kurt Signetti and Mark Byington. Signetti, now the Indiana head coach with the best team in college football history. Google him. Vanderbilt is the best basketball team in the SEC. Coached by, that's right, Mark Byington. Nice. 2 more biggest losers. The Washington Senators? I saw a national pundit get a take really, really wrong recently. He said the March Madness tournament sucks because lower-seeded teams get in there. Underdogs get in there. Stupid. America attacked him, and his response was to release an apology. Never apologize. If you apologize, you bring more attention to the negativity. This is an example of that. Fred Nolan, a random guy on Twitter, tweets, Ullmark cheated. This is about a hockey player, I think. He cheated, then told his wife about the teammates who cheat on the road. She told the girlfriends and wives, had a bunch of them broken up, and a bunch of them have broken up since. Real Housewife stuff. The captain is in hot water right now, and they want Ullmark off the team. I'm 100% serious. And somehow, this random tweet from this random person gets the attention of the president of hockey operations. The Senators released their own graphic. Our organization was extremely disappointed to read the completely fabricated and false stories that are spreading around social media about our hockey club. Awesome. Final biggest loser. Lane Kiffin, baby! Bang! He tweeted last night, amazing effort and grit, period. At Ole Miss FB, crying emoji. Best season ever in the history of Ole Miss! Exclamation point, exclamation point. Blue heart, love you guys. With a GIF, pronounced GIF, of a broken heart. Like a really, really old GIF. One of those you'd open up your Windows PC in 2006, and this is what you would get. And the heart opens up. Bro thinks he's on the team. Bro thinks he's on the team. Not only is he not on the team anymore, most of the players so far have said, I'm staying at Ole Miss because of Lane Kiffin. Because that was just a really mean thing that he did. He said, I can't win a national championship with them, but I can win one. I can win one if I go hang out with my new friends at LSU. Yep. Great. Thanks, Lane. Tells me all I need to know.
30.
I get the grift, though. I understand the grift. Those are our biggest losers of the day, from Lane Kiffin to dentists to Dr. Oz telling you don't have alcohol for breakfast. Wise. And Jackson Dart telling the world who the next head coach of the Giants will be on accident. Coming up, before you go anywhere, here in the Westwood One Sports app and Westwood One, time for our obituaries. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
We're lost, aren't we?
Could be worse.
How could this be worse? This is worse.
I got $100 smoking in my billfold. I know I ought to save it, but it's burning a hole right through my pocket and into my skin. Come Monday morning, I'll be broke again. It's finally Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday, I'm out of control. Forget the working blues and let the good time roll.
You know what? I take back what I said. I went on this show and I put Dr. Oz as a Biggest Loser. And that was kind of messed up by me. I want to apologize to all the Dr. Oz fans out there, or fans of afternoon slop TV. He said, in terms of alcohol, brand new study suggested don't have it in the morning. And after the producer of the Drake Toll Show, Addie Bates, reprimanded me off the air, valid, by the way, she said, if you're so confident that Dr. Oz is a Biggest Loser for saying the obvious, how would that statement be obvious if we have the great joys of life, like tailgates or morning flights where you're in first class? I've only been first class once, by the way. This is good. This is a great story. I've only been first class once. And the way that it happened, I have like 3 or 4 people in my life who, my CPA is one of them, who'll be like, hey, man, you should just go first class one time, see what it's like, tax write-off. Okay. I don't really know what those things mean. They don't teach those things in school. I don't know what is and is not a tax write-off. But one time I had a flight from, I think, Charleston to Charlotte, which if you know anything about geography, it's like 20 minutes. And the flight upgrade for first class was $24. It's like, yeah, I can have a wild amount of champagne over the course of my 20-minute flight. And what happens is I get on in first class. Again, never been first class before. May never be first class in my life again. You and I, we're real blue collar like that, aren't we? I get on the flight, sit next to this guy, and he's got this thick Brazilian, I thought it was Russian. It was like a Brazilian accent. And he says, he said something along the lines of, I won't do the accent, I'll spare you that. He says something along the lines of, you're in first class, you must have money. And I mean, what are you supposed to, he's like, no. So I was like, yeah. And he said, well, here's how to spend it wisely. And this random guy who I've never met before, spends the 20-minute flight, entire thing, giving me the greatest financial advice any human being could ever give you. I was floored. I learned innumerable things about banking and money over the course of my Cabernet that I continued to finish. And then as we go to get off the flight, he says, hey, if you're ever in Charlotte, I live there. We can have meal. We can have meal together. Here's my phone number. Here's my contact. He has one of those contact cards. Put it in my phone. It's like, all right, good to meet you. Ready for this? Vice President, Lead Financial Accountant, Finance and Accounting, Remediation Team, Chief Financial Office at Wells Fargo. That's it. I'm set. I can retire. The VP of Wells Fargo gave me some money information. How to help your money help you make money, or whatever they say. Your money can start making its own money for you. Something. I'm learning about all this as I go. Welcome to the Drake Toll Show. I am Drake Toll. 310-840-4910. That was Finally Friday from George Jones. Growing up in Valonia, Arkansas, population 3,000. Kissin' 96. Every Friday they would play that once an hour. Never got old. It was always Friday. And in the end, I tell that story about George Jones. I tell that story about the guy on the plane, morning flights, to say, Dr. Oz, I am the biggest loser for not being very clear that a drink in the morning, when appropriate, like St. Patrick's Day, which is a big thing here in Savannah, time can heal all wounds, and so can a mimosa sometimes. Let's get into our obituaries. Thanks, Curtis. Curtis Poindexter runs the board in California. Addie Bates produces. Obituary number 1. I think it's my only obituary today. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to integrity in sports. Yep. Dead. Integrity in sports. Damon Williams Jr., quarterback at Washington. I've told you this all week. If there's an odd story, weird story of the week that you need to bring to your coworkers and say, did you see this? This is the one. His agent came out yesterday and said, I have made the decision to end my representation of Damon Williams Jr., the Washington quarterback, effective immediately due to philosophical differences. Damon is an incredible talent. We wish him and his family the best in their future endeavors. Damon Williams signs a contract with Washington. Listen to this, folks. He signs a contract with Washington, and then 4 days later, during the funeral service of a Washington soccer player who died of cancer, while all of his teammates and coaches are at that funeral service, he goes in the portal. And Washington says, you just signed a contract. You can't go into the transfer portal. You can't forfeit the $4 million we're going to give you. And then after 72 hours of will he go to LSU, Washington's going to sue him, the Big Ten's going to sue him, this is getting really messy. Pete Thamel tweets last night, throw up in my mouth. He didn't tweet that. Also, bodily function, not sure if I can say it. He didn't tweet that. I'm saying that this is the reaction that I have to the next quote. Washington quarterback Damon Williams has announced his intent to return to Washington. He'd announced earlier this week he'd intended to transfer. Goodbye, integrity. I love Washington. Just a big misunderstanding, everybody. Come on. Everyone calm down. I'm coming back. Williams said, and I quote, from Pete Thamel, I am fully committed and focused on contributing to what we are building. Are you? Are you? And then he apologized for, in the middle of his comrade's funeral, announcing he was going into the transfer portal. He said, I never intended to call attention away from such an important moment. You almost said idiot. I won't go that far. That would be mean. I'm going to have compassion. You guy. Remember, you, the listener, speaking with you right now, we're dogs. You and I, we're dogs. Damon Williams and I, we're not dogs. He's a jag. He's just a guy. That is so, everything you've done, everything you've touched has been so bad that you almost got sued, would have been sued, And your agent said, I can't keep doing this anymore. The president of Wasserman Football said, I can't keep doing this anymore. Damon, our time here is done. You should get Idiot of the Day. You should get Biggest Loser. You should get Obituary. You should get all of the things. Which, before you take it out of context, I'm not killing him. Obituary is not about Damon Williams being dead. Today, I'm mourning integrity, which probably died years ago. But whatever. I'm waxing poetic about it today. Fully committed and focused on contribute. You're not fully committed. You weren't fully committed. Damon Williams is headed back to Washington after they pretty much forced him to, and now he'll have to sit there because he signed a contract. Oh no, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Yep, that's what happens. Blows up in your face. Those are the obituaries. Time for the quickie. Top 5 headlines across sports today. Surely there will be something from the MLB or NHL that I'm so excited to talk about. Producer of the Drake Toll Show, Addie Bates from Washington, D.C. Are you ready?
There's actually no hockey or baseball in here today, okay?
Wow, and you made the list?
Okay. All right. Okay.
You
Here
love
we go.
hockey and
Number
baseball.
1. Yeah, they're great sports. Underrated. America's pastime, baseball is. Ravens offensive coordinator faults self for decline of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
I thought that Monken quote was awesome, by the way. Him sitting down in an interview a couple of days after parting ways with the Ravens and saying, hey, shoot you guys straight. That's on me. I did not take advantage of having Lamar Jackson as my starting quarterback. Credit to him for being open and honest. But on the flip side of this, he didn't have to say that. And if you're looking for another job, like Monken's going to get a job, but if you're looking for another job as an NFL offensive coordinator, then saying that I mishandled Lamar Jackson, probably not the way to do that. Probably not the way to get yourself that next big job. So maybe we leave it for a couple days before we give the quote, I didn't coach Lamar well enough. But hey, shout out to honesty. Maybe integrity is still alive. Todd Monken, you're a winner of the day in my book because it was a really transparent, raw, emotional thing that you did, and I liked it. That's more than a minute, but this was cool to me to humanize one of these coaches who says, hey, I screwed up. You don't hear that all that often.
All right, headline number 2, LaMelo bench for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, I've been telling people, man, this could be coming. I've been saying it a lot. I've been saying it on the Drake Toll Show. Drake Toe. That, he's a guy that 20 points per game, I need more than that. Losing to the Pacers, congrats, Rick Carlisle, on 1,000 wins, by the way. I mean, it's 33 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. I've been saying a lot, hey, this could happen. I mean, I've been saying, could it be like an underlying issue? Are we increasing availability? Not starting. I mean, we're not starting him, and they're going to lose the Pacers. Scores 33 points. Been saying, hey, they're mismanaging him. Trying to tell you this. They're mismanaging the 24-year-old, and I think it's another example of it. Egg on your face, Hornets. That's a minute of NBA slop.
Let's go to your team for a second here. The Cowboys request to interview Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator.
Can we pause, please?
Yes.
Never again.
Yes.
We can never call the Dallas Cowboys my team. I'm the most...
Okay, turn around.
I'm the most...
Greg Toll, turn around.
Reluctant supporter of the Dallas Cowboys. As someone who went to college, spent 5 years in Texas, and spent my childhood growing up adjacent to Texas in a state with no NFL team, I would begrudgingly root for the Cowboys. That's the extent.
Okay,
I am a fan of all... as a radio show host now, giving opinions on 32 teams, I hope all of your teams equally lose. Continue.
You're right. You only have a Dallas Cowboys helmet right behind you.
If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle.
All right, the Cowboys request to interview the Falcons defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, for the same role in Dallas was denied.
This also goes to the category of biggest losers. The Falcons fired their head coach, Raheem Morris, and then when the Cowboys said, okay, well then can we interview the DC of the deposed head coach? Because he's probably not going to stay after you hire your next head coach. And Atlanta just said no. What a wild move for zero reason whatsoever to be like, you know what? No, you can't. Why? Because F them. That's why, I guess. I don't know. It's really funny to me. There's a 90% chance he's not on the Falcons staff next year, no matter what. And when the Cowboys wanted to interview him, the Falcons just wouldn't let them. Really funny move. Actually, a stupid move for, coaches to respect you around the league and you to have any sort of appeal for a coach to want to be there in Atlanta. But for me, Drake Toll, who is not gunning for the job with the Cowboys, I think it's pretty funny, actually. That's over a minute.
This one's kind of funny because I feel like if you're a professional team, you should probably take care of your facilities. But last night, the Heat Bulls game at the United Center postponed due to condensation on the court.
Do we know if this is because of the hockey thing?
Because of the hockey thing.
Yeah. I'm assuming the United Center is also the home of the Blackhawks.
Yes, correct.
So the condensation happened because of the hockey, because of the ice, right?
Probably.
Because I believe, again, I took earthquakes and natural disasters, so I know a thing or two about physics. I believe the ice is underneath the basketball court.
Yep.
Which is
and they played on Wednesday.
Yeah, this is not rare. Everyone does this. You can't remove the ice. It just stays underneath the basketball court. Condensation on the floor being the floor being so soaked that you have to postpone the game in the National Basketball Association. That's just wild. Weird headline. I like that headline a lot, though. When I read that last night, I was at Bro Shoes last night in Savannah. I had a bottle of I bought a bottle for the table of sparkling red wine. It was good.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I saw that headline. And I was like, wow, that's really funny, actually, and stupid. I was sitting with someone from Chicago.
Here's the biggest headline. This is the biggest headline of the day.
Yeah, okay.
Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple are neck and neck in the Rookie of the Year race.
Yeah, I've been wondering if we were to ask an expert on this, Kevin Harlan, if we could have Kevin Harlan on one of our shows at the network, please. Please. At least one. I want to know about Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg. I've been saying it, they're neck and neck for the Rookie of the Year race. We should be watching this close. Who the hell is out there talking about Rookie of the Year being Tyler Shuck or Tet McMillan? Egbuka. Who's talking about that? We could be having the conversation about Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg. Get your money up, not your funny up. Have the real talks. Curtis, do we still have Nolan from San Antonio on the line?
We do.
We do? All right. Nolan, hold on. Rest of the world, hold on. We'll see what Nolan has to say. Addie Bates, thank you very much for our 5 headlines of the day. Addie?
Of course.
Great. Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't know you wanted me to thank
Yeah,
you're
chime
welcome.
in. This is your
You're
show,
so
too.
welcome, Drake Toll.
310-840-4910. Nolan from San Antonio. When we come up, he's got some college football he wants to get to, and I don't disagree. Transfer portal talk. Only momentarily, and then back to the NFL on the Drake Toll Show.
Well, when I was young, my mama read me nursery rhymes beside my bed. And though they sounded mighty fine, they made no sense to me. Now that I am all grown up, it seems my nights have changed as such. So I went out and made me up a nursery rhyme for me. It goes bar light, bar bright, first bar that I see tonight. Wish I might find someone to hold me tight. Hey, diddle, diddle, the man with the fiddle and the girl sing along with the tunes. Just one more dance goes bar light, bar bright. First bar that I see tonight. Wish I might find someone to hold me tight. Hey, diddle, diddle, a man with the fiddle and the girls sing along with the tunes. Just one more dance till you turn out the lights and you can shut down this saloon. I said I never understood how a big old gal could raise no kids in his shoe. And any old jack goes jumping a candle needs to find something better to do. And a rub-a-dub-dub 3-minute a tub sure sounds kind of funny to me. So I made up a honky-tonk nursery rhyme and it's the only one I'll sing. It goes bar light, bar bright. First bar that I see tonight. Wish I might find someone to hold me tight. Hey, diddle, diddle, a man with a fiddle and the girls sing along with the tunes. Just one more dance till you turn out the lights and you can shut down this saloon. I said just one more dance till you turn out the lights and you can shut down this saloon.
Drake Toll with you on the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. From Locked On Big 12, the Savannah Bananas organization, college football kickoff on Amazon Fire TV. Before we get into the NIL era, the transfer portal era of college football, and how it has affected the college football playoff and built what Indiana has done, and how Kurt Cignetti is still somehow underpaid at $12.5 million a year. Before we get to all of that, we take you to San Antonio, Texas, where the second dirtiest Riverwalk water exists. I put Oklahoma City at number 1, San Antonio at 2. In the meantime, Nolan is on the Drake Toll Show. Nolan, what's going on?
Hey, Drake. I want to, first of all, thank you for talking about BYU. I think you talk about BYU more than anyone save the Sports Nation guys. But deep in the heart of Cougar Nation, representing them, I want to thank you for what you do. And then I wanted to say I'm excited for BYU football because I think we're one of the first teams to pretty much sign back every player that played last year that's meaningful. And what a time to be a Cougar fan, because we've got AJ tearing it up in basketball. We've got Yegor Demon representing us with the Nets, Puka with the Rams, and then this football team should be a top 10 team next year in the preseason polls. So thank you for repping the Y and singing the praises of the Cougars across the United States.
Love it. Thanks for your call, Nolan. That's Nolan out of San Antonio on the Drake Toll Show. Look, I think the world needs to know there are, in taking the role with Westwood One, having a national radio show, one of my first goals when I sat down and wrote out, okay, what do I want to do, is talk about the teams, the organizations, the storylines that everyone else seems to be missing. And there was an 11-1 team in the Power Four that didn't make the college football playoff this year. We set the precedent that you can be elite, borderline elite, and still miss the playoff. And if people are like, oh, well, BYU would have gotten blown out. Okay, that's hypothetical. And Alabama lost 38-3. Didn't mean they didn't deserve to be in the postseason. They won a game in the playoff against the SEC. But yeah, I think there are underrepresented colleges, universities, storylines like BYU going 11-1, or the Cougars having a really good go at it with their players returning to the roster. Bear Bachmeier being one of them, and they're the most underrated team in college football in the last 6 years. 4 of those 6 years, they've finished in the top 25. They've never began the season in the AP top 25 in that 6-year run, though. So they continue to win, and they get no respect for it in the offseason. More people should be looking at BYU as an elite athletic department because of the investment they're making. And A.J. DeMont is another example of that. The number 1 player in the country in basketball that is leading a basketball team that could win multiple games, make it to the Final Four, win a national championship. They have those capabilities in March Madness, those BYU Cougars. I'll be on site, actually. Headed to Utah, the Utah Valley, for BYU Arizona. Big game in college basketball here in a few weeks. Nolan, thanks for your call. Great segue into college football and the most underpaid coach in the entire country, Curt Cignetti. This is the Drake Toll Show. Joe Pompliano.
Every team, every player.
Sorry. I see what I did there. I see what I did there. Joe Pompliano. Curt Cignetti will soon sign a new contract with Indiana that pays him at least $12.5 million per year. But after digging into the numbers, Cignetti might still be the most undervalued coach in college football. I love this. Joe Pomp does a really good job. Talks a lot about the Savannah Bananas and how the finances of the organization work. He does a great job. He says that Cignetti, we all know what he's done at Indiana. It's remarkable. Turned a perennial cellar dweller into a national championship favorite in 2 seasons. Listen to this. It has transformed IU's athletic department because before 2025 kicked off, ticket revenue surpassed $13 million before the season even kicked off. Indiana announced a $50 million stadium naming rights deal. So they made $13 million on tickets, $50 million on the stadium name. Fundraising at a record high. Billionaire IU alum Mark Cuban is donating to Indiana for the first time ever. Pomp says, but that's the obvious stuff. Cignetti's real impact comes in admissions. Listen to these numbers. The marketing vehicle for the university, IU football. 24 million people watching the Rose Bowl, 18 million watching the Big Ten Championship. It's the most in a championship game in 5 or 6 years. More than 2 million people watched a 3-hour commercial about the show when College Game Day visited Indiana's campus. This publicity, that marketing, and I can tell you as someone who works for the Savannah Bananas, one of the best marketing mogul organizations in America, that marketing is invaluable. There's not a price tag you can put on what that does for your university. You cannot quantify accurately how much Indiana is winning right now by winning in football. Hundreds of millions of dollars in publicity, marketing, PR alone. Listen to these numbers. Here's what college football does for you. May I? Hello, NC State. Hello, Boston College. Hello, Cincinnati. And hi, Auf Wiedersehen. Oregon State. UCLA. Rutgers. Any of you could have been Indiana. any of you could fit the mold of an Indiana who sucked for a long time and now they're good. And this is what happens. Indiana sets a school record for enrollment. 10,000 freshmen. 73,000 applications. In 2019, Indiana was at 44,000 applications. They were at 54,000 when Curt Cignetti was hired. Immediately started winning football games. Jumped to 67,000. Now 73,000 people have applied to go to Indiana because kids want to watch good football. And IU, since so many students are applying, and they can only admit a certain number, they're leveraging by rotating the composition of their student body toward out of state and being more selective academically. 50% of their enrollment comes from out of state. And listen to this, important distinction, out-of-state students pay $30,000 more in annual tuition. $12,000 for those from Indiana, $42,000 for non-residents. They are raking in the money. Those out-of-state students are worth $60 million more to Indiana than their in-state counterparts. Median high school GPA of 3.94, the highest in their history. And Pomp nails it here. Better sports means more applicants, which means better students, which means higher rankings. Higher rankings lead to more applicants and eventually higher tuition revenues. IU, because they're winning in football, can become an academic juggernaut? Yes. Yes. That's the beauty of what college sports is doing right now. But they're also doing it in one of the most relentlessly resourceful ways. Miami. They have 5 5-star players, 40 4-star players. Ole Miss, you watched those two teams play last night. 3 5-star players, 33 4-star players. Fewer than Miami, no doubt. Oregon blows everybody out of the water. 6 players on their roster that are 5 stars. 52 players are 4 stars. I've told you, LSU, 66 combined 4 or 5 stars. The Indiana Hoosiers, hold on to this. The Indiana Hoosiers have 0 5-star players, 7 4-star players. I just told you NC State. I just told you Cincinnati. I just told you UCLA. You can do this. If Indiana can do it, you can do it. When you go to work today, when you're at Pilates with Lane Kiffin, when you're in the donut shop because you're a teacher and you're off on Fridays because you teach at the private school and you're getting donuts, meeting a friend, catching up over coffee, and they say, what do you think about sports? You tell them this. Miami, 45 blue chip recruits. Oregon, 58 blue chip recruits. Indiana, 7. That Indiana team just beat Alabama 38-3. Curt Cignetti is firing coaches across the country because universities want what Curt Cignetti has. They play tonight against Oregon in a rematch with a shot at a national championship on the line. And what's crazier is the changing of the guard is becoming more and more aggressive. Here are team rankings per On3. Team rankings of juggernauts in college football in the transfer portal so far. Number 32 in transfer portal recruitment, Texas. At 38, Oregon. 40th, Georgia. 50th, Notre Dame. 51st in transfer portal recruiting, with 0 transfers in, 8 transfers out, Miami. They're in the national championship. 56th in America in the transfer portal, Ohio State. 22 players have left the program. Alabama ranks 60th. The 60th net portal class right now in all of college football, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Indiana is certainly building it off the transfer portal. Half their starters transferred in, but Curt Cignetti came in 2 years ago. Of course, he had plenty of players transfer in with him. 7 4-star players, 0 5-star players, and they're dominating everyone. And I think they'll dominate again tonight against Oregon. Will they win? What does domination mean? Maybe it means 20-13. but suffocating Oregon, given the defense of Indiana, is the best still alive in the college football playoff. And Miami, that takes nothing away. It detracts nothing from Miami because of how good Miami is on that side of the football. But IU, a 70% chance to win the game. Yesterday, you know what I did? I'm going to do this. I get a lot of, I get comments sometimes, like, hey, I've been listening to the Westwood One lineup, hearing a lot of sports betting talk. And there are, the next show is You Better You Bet, right? Betting is going to be talked about, for sure. I try to stay away from it, and not because I don't do it. I'm constantly sports betting, but because I know there are other shows that are going to give that to you at the network, and I give them their flowers. But listen to this from last night. Listen to this. I had Ole Miss, $100 in their money line. I didn't hit. I also took Ole Miss live. Didn't hit. Then I took Ole Miss live again. Didn't hit. Bad night. And worse than that, I always try to hedge a little bit. Like, hey, let's do, if I'm going to put $100 on somebody's money line, let me put a home run parlay on something else. That home run was this. Listen. Carson Beck, 1 or more rushing touchdowns. Cash happened right at the end of the game. To win the game, Miami, cash happened. And under in total points, Ole Miss, 24.5. They scored 27. That was $25 to win 206. So I dropped off the face of the earth in betting last night. I'm going somewhere with this. But I made a genius decision to put like 6 units on Indiana to win the national championship. And I took it at 3 p.m. yesterday. Why? Because they were plus 125. We're talking about one of the most dominant teams that college football has seen since 2019 LSU. One of the most dominant teams that we've seen in this sport's history, namely in the modern era. 14-0 on a march to 16-0, the first 16-0 team in college football history. I believe they'll win tonight. I believe that they will win me much money, thank you, on that bet. Because Indiana is a buzzsaw, a juggernaut, a 38-3 against Alabama, and I believe they'll prove it again against Oregon, and they're doing it with less talent per Rivals or 24/7 or however you want to rank these kids. Those rankings are stupid. They're the biggest losers. They're the idiots of the day. They give you a star based on who's recruiting. Well, Georgia's in the mix, so give them another star. Indiana doesn't get that liberty. BYU doesn't get that liberty. They just win football games. 310-840-4910. Call or text the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports. Westwood One Sports app. Alex Dono is the Miami Hurricanes expert, and his team that he covers is going to the national championship. That's up next on the Drake Toll Show.
Google me.
Back on the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll from the Savannah Bananas, locked on Big 12, college football kickoff with you now. Last night, Miami taking down Ole Miss in the national semifinal to punch a ticket to the championship game. The Miami Radio Network, Don Bailey, got Curtis Poindexter in California running the board. Addie Bates producing out of Washington, D.C. Don Bailey, the Miami Radio Network, had an electric call when Carson Beck ran it in to give the Canes their game-winning touchdown and put it out of reach against Ole Miss. Here's how it sounded.
Beck holds his hands out, takes, drops,
to the right,
looked, wants to throw, going to run, that's open field. Carson Beck into the end zone. He runs it in over the left side. Carson Beck takes it in for a Miami touchdown. Miami touchdown for Carson Beck.
Strike up the bands. Miami takes the lead, and they would hold it. He is the expert, Alex Dono, on all things Miami of Locked On Canes, Locked On ACC every single day, and Miami Hurricanes postgame on 1043 WQAM. Alex Dono, the Canes are going back to the national championship, and I need the pulse, the pulse of a team, of a fan base that will play that game at home.
Well, obviously the fan base is jacked up, especially Drake, knowing they don't have to travel very far to the championship game because it's in Miami's home stadium at Hard Rock Stadium, and obviously you're not going to have your regular means to obtain tickets to this one. They're going to be very expensive, so but fans, Miami fans will find their way in, and obviously fans of Indiana or Oregon will find their way in because those are two programs that travel very well. But I think the pulse of the fan base, Drake, is jubilation. I think a lot of people who follow Miami football have probably not slept yet to this point. And there's also kind of a sense that they're in a collective dream, right? Because this is a team that a lot of folks thought wouldn't or even shouldn't qualify for the college football playoff in the first place. And then once Miami gets in, you've got the gauntlet of having to go into Texas A&M, having to then knock off the defending national champs Ohio State, and then, you thought probably it would be Georgia after that. Instead, you take on the team that beat Georgia, and Miami is able to punch their ticket to the title game. So it really is a surreal feeling.
Alex Dono, Locked On Canes, joining the Drake Toll Show. You used the word outlast when talking about how Miami beat Ole Miss. If you play this game for 63 minutes, right, the outcome could be very different. Was this war of attrition a matter of who had the ball, not last necessarily, but with the minimal time left on the clock?
Yeah, I think both teams were worn down in different ways. I think that, Miami's physical offensive line, leaning on the Ole Miss defense, was able to, the running lanes early in the game for Miami that was maybe 4 or 5 yards a pop for Mark Fletcher were becoming 8, 9, 10 yards per pop. So I think there was some of that. And then on the flip side, Drake, Miami's defense was kind of being held together by duct tape by the end of that game. They had a bunch of, important players kind of walk off the field with various injuries. They also had one of their starting cornerbacks, Xavier Lucas, was ejected for a targeting. Your other starting cornerback, O.J. Frederic, who was kind of playing through injury, didn't play much, if at all, in the second half. So Miami was kind of down to the bare bones defensively, and not to take anything away from Ole Miss because their offense was also finding a rhythm late in that game. So it very much was attrition was coming to play late in that game. And thankfully on the Miami side, Carson Beck is able to put together a career-defining drive, honestly, to give Miami that final lead.
Dono, with any national analyst, any college football fan, you can watch the game and deduce Miami defensive line good, Trinidad Chambliss good, Carson Beck nails when it mattered the most at the end of the game. But it's the storylines that local experts like yourself that you have access to that are exclusive to those who follow the team day in and day out or are fans of the team day in and day out. One of the pieces that has stuck with me is the casual football viewer will see Miami and think the U of the 80s. Here are these flashy guys that do things different. They've got all these off-the-field storylines that take the focus. This Mario Cristobal version of Miami seems like it could not be further from that in the way that these guys are about as gritty and hard-nosed, put your head down and go to work as it gets in our sport.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right, Drake. I mean, Mario Cristobal and his staff, the people that he trusts to, identify and vet recruits out of high school, players in the transfer portal, they've been very deliberate on just sort of the type of player that they go after, right? When it comes to the personality types, they've wanted to be able to fill every position group with alphas. They want to have guys like, Keontae Scott, who are literally camping out at the facility during fall camp, just not leaving, just spending that time making a mattress in the indoor.
Yeah.
Guys like, Carson Beck never left the film room a whole lot. I know he had kind of an extra drive and determination coming off of Georgia, coming off the surgery. So, he had a lot to prove at Miami. People like Ruben Bain and Malachi Tony. Tony is only 18 years old, and he's actually an early enrollee, should still be in high school right now. So the work ethic is clearly there, and yeah, they're not they're not the same Canes that I grew up with in the 80s and 90s with the taunting and stuff like that. That's not a part of this team's DNA. I think I'll describe this team's DNA, Drake, which is so different from recent Miami teams of the past 20 years, that when they faced big time adversity mid-season, in recent history, when Miami teams lose a game like SMU, and they've lost 2 out of their last 3 games, and they're almost mathematically out of the college football playoff, typically that turns into a spiral. Like, typically there's going to be 2-3 more losses that come after that. Well, this team had a team meeting right after that loss to SMU. They watched a 12-minute reel of their own film from their 5-game winning streak to start the season and how well they were playing back then. The sound was off. The lights are off. They reminded themselves and each other what they're capable of, and they vowed to get back to that, and they never looked back. So that I thought, to me, that was the clear turning point of the season. After the SMU loss at 6-2, they just decided to get back to work and become the team that they were to start the season. And since that point, they've won 7 straight games, including 3 in the college football playoff.
That's an incredible note about the team watching film of themselves to get back to it. Alex Dono of Locked On Canes, the expert on the Miami Hurricanes. Before we let you go, I want to address the people in America that say that college football is broken or dead, or the system needs to be fixed, or that at its roots we've ruined a good thing. And where I'm going with this, and where I would love, and this is a bit of your Locked On ACC experience, would love your help. We are looking at a sport, Dono, where people said Miami shouldn't have gotten in. It should have been Notre Dame based on what they have done for me lately and how well Notre Dame was playing. We're in a time where 4 years ago, Miami would have missed the college football playoff far and away. 10, 12 years ago, there's no way they compete for the BCS National Championship. But in today's era, today's day and time, the number 10 team in the country can win a national championship because it is a matter of who is hot at the right time, a matter of who matches up best in a tournament format to win games. Is college football going by the wayside given this format, or is Miami's win just further proof that this sport is alive and well with the brands that you haven't seen in this spot in 2 decades?
Yeah, the sport it's so alive and it's so well. I think when people have an issue with where the sport is now, for anyone to try to say that it's dead or it's dying, I think that's incredibly misguided. It's just different. Like, it's not the college football that a lot of people grew up with, where it was closer to being a true amateur sport, and the student athletes were really student athletes. Like, we've come a long way from that because, yeah, the sport has been monetized to a point where you can no longer pretend it's not a business, because it is a business. But to your point, Drake, anyone who thinks the sport isn't thriving is either being dishonest or they're just completely wrong about it. When it comes to the TV ratings, when it comes to the absolute theater of these games, I mean, I had a horse in the race last night when I was watching Miami versus Ole Miss. So I was basically having, 3 hours worth of heart palpitations watching the game. It was a stressful experience for me, but I think for the impartial viewer, that was an instant classic on Thursday night. Like, that was one of the better football games we've had in the college football playoff. And yeah, it was between a team, as you mentioned, a lot of folks thought Miami shouldn't have gotten into the tournament in the first place. I'm pretty sure they've now validated their inclusion. And then, yeah, in the case of Ole Miss, I mean, you talk about a team that has been through so much adversity since Lane Kiffin walked out the door, and he's been, trying to poach assistant coaches and probably trying to poach players through the transfer portal. They've had to deal with a whole lot. You've got Indiana on the other side. They're going to have an opportunity tonight to punch their ticket. That's one of the best stories in college football, because 2 years ago, what was Indiana football? It was an afterthought. It's a basketball school, and Kurt Signetti now has them as the number one team in the country, the only true undefeated left. And this stuff didn't used to happen 5-6 years ago, Drake. So the sport is not dead. The sport has just changed. And, if people want to embrace that change, they'll realize that college football right now is probably at least, financially stronger than it's ever been before.
Alex Dono, Locked On Canes. Find him at Alex Dono on Twitter. You deserve an Aperol Spritz and a plate of pasta, my friend. The Miami Hurricanes are going to the national championship. Thank you for joining the Drake Toll Show.
There will be several of those consumed. Thank you, Drake.
He is a pro's pro. The guy who's followed the Hurricanes for a long time, the insider, the expert. He's a guy in the locker room, a guy who knows the coaching staff and stays close to the vest with all things Miami and their breaking news as you follow their national championship week ahead. We have like 10 days of coverage of Miami in either Oregon or Indiana. Alex Dono is the place to go. As we hit the 8 o'clock Eastern time hour, we haven't talked enough about the NFL postseason that is tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow, 310-840-4910. We've got an open slot for you. That's right, the listener, 310-840-4910 on if you think your team can win in Wild Card Weekend and go on a run. We're on the Westwood One Sports app, Westwood One Sports, on your radio dial across the country. It's time. It's time to give you our Idiots of the Day as well as a Wild Card Weekend preview. Will the Bears get it done at home in nasty weather? Will the Eagles push their way to victory against San Francisco? And then Monday, Steelers and Texans. Why you should be buying the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers in the postseason. All that and more is coming up right here on Westwood One and on the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One's.
My homecoming queen in tight denim jeans, mixed with a southern drawl. Likes fried green tomatoes, cornbread and potatoes, and she doesn't have a single flaw. She could program computers or get a job at Hooters, make imagination run wild. Fulfill my wishes, knock me down with kisses, and put me to sleep with a smile. She's champagne in a Dixie cup, catfish caviar, a Georgia peach, firm and sweet, tight in a mason jar. She makes cotton look like silk, you ought to see her in my truck. But she's got all of everything, champagne in a Dixie cup. Find a place in the country, raise some little pumpkins, listen to the robins sing. Talk about the weather, blend life together, out on the front porch swing. Count lightning bugs, hold hands and hug, let out a rebel yell. Well, there's nothing like a sunrise, a good sip of moonshine, nothing like a southern belle. She's champagne in a Dixie cup, catfish caviar, a Georgia peach, firm and sweet, like an amazing jar. She makes cotton look like silk, you ought to see her in my truck. But she's got all of everything, champagne in a Dixie cup. She makes cotton look like silk, you ought to see her in my truck. But she's got all of everything, champagne in a Dixie cup. Yeah, she's got all of everything, champagne in a Dixie cup.
Mr. Bombastic. We want is a bombastic, romantic, fantastic lover. Shaggy. Mr. Lover. Now Mr. Lover. Girl. Mr. Lover. Now Mr. Lover. She call me Mr. Bombastic. Tell me fantastic. Touch me on me back. She says I'm Mr. Romantic. Fantastic. Touch me on me back, she says I'm Mr. Rose. Smooth.
Come on.
Just like a silk. Soft and cuddly, hug me up like a quilt.
Boombastic.
Now take me thin or filled with my sexual physique.
Yeah.
You know me well, Bill.
Feels right, doesn't it? It's Friday. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You go to work today, but it's Friday. And then you get off at 5. And Dr. Oz was very clear, do not drink in the morning. But Dr. Oz did not say anything about not drinking after work. My favorite Friday I think I've ever had in my life. I guess. Something in my brain told me to tell you this. My favorite Friday I've ever had in my life. And by the way, I want to give a shout out, while my brain is doing this, to the people of the online crowd. There are plenty of folks who are listening via Twitter or YouTube, because every radio show now has those things, like Daily Row or Drunkle Sam. These are people. These are real names, real usernames. Spencer, real usernames of people that are commenting about the show in real time. And you can do the same. You can comment about the show. And I read those like Santa Claus in that way, like an omnipresence of Twitter or YouTube. You can go on those things and then interact, as well as calling 310-840-4910. Favorite Friday of all time. I had some adult fruit snacks. Producer Addie Bates of The Drake Toll Show in Washington, D.C. Is that allowed?
Yes. Yes, that is allowed.
All right. Adult fruit snacks for the adults. And this was right before the Thunder played the Mavericks in the postseason, Friday. And a buddy of mine who works for the Bananas, also in broadcast, another big Knicks fan, the three of us decided we're going to go to this game. We sat in the rafters, about as far away from the court as you could get. And when you've combined the adult fruit snacks with being in the rafters of a basketball arena, things get a little wonky. The court's right in front of your eyes. You are basically in the front row, or you want to no longer exist. I, luckily, was in the front row portion of my experience. And before the game, the PA guy, public address guy, says, "Please welcome, performing the national anthem, Mason Ramsey." Wow. The kid from the Walmart yodeling video. All I say I want to do. He had grown up. That's like a 10-year-old viral video. Remember the little kid that's like tapping his toes, the boots on and the jeans in Walmart singing that Hank Williams song? It's him, but all grown up, singing the national anthem. And that's when you start to question, did I have too much of the adult fruit snacks? They play the game. Luka Doncic does his playoff deal. SGA. It's the Western Conference Finals. Halftime rolls around. Kid you not. Kid you not. I'm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Bands, for your halftime entertainment, please welcome the band Hanson. That's right. Bop. Hanson. Except they weren't cute teenage boys anymore. Pause. They were instead 50-plus-year-old adult men. They played Thunderstruck. And me, in my state, just kept kind of rocking back and forth, being like, come on, just play Bop. Just want to play the only Hanson song any of us know, Bop. Greatest Friday of my life. The Mavs would win that game. They would go to the finals. Luka Doncic and the Mavs, the yodeling Walmart kid, and the band Hanson. And after that, I had innumerable Miller Lights because dudes rock. Time for our Idiots of the Day.
Idiot of the Day.
Caught you off guard there, Curtis. Thanks for playing that sound. Drake Toll on Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Sponsored by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Addie Bates, producer of the Drake Toll Shows. You say your name enough over the course of a week, you start to really, you flub it, or over the course of 24 years. Addie Bates, producer of the Drake Toll Show. You have written here in the notes for today's program that you have a mystery idiot of the day.
Yes, and it actually is the guy who can't even say his own name. It is Drake Toll.
Everybody.
Because in the first segment, you're talking about Stuart Little. So my first idiot of the day are people who don't know that Stuart Little is not a rat. He's a mouse, Drake. Did you know that?
I think people who are passionate about the technical term for what Stuart Little is as a sentient rodent, those people probably stink. They're probably not very fun.
No, just admit you don't know ball. You don't know ball. You didn't know Stuart Little was a mouse.
I want to apologize to the Little family, to the entirety of the Little clan, and all of Stuart's kin.
Clan?
Yes. All of Stuart's kin. That's on me for inappropriately calling you all rats when you are obviously mice. Idiot of the day number 1, me. That's fine. Idiot of the day number 2, The New York Jets. The New York Giants. We're just rotating Aaron Glenn and other things that are Jets related. I'm not a Jets fan. I'm a fan of all 32 NFL teams. I'm Rob Lowe with the hat on. If you win, great. If you lose, great. But the Jets just keep doing so. I have no reason to hate the Jets, but they keep doing so many stupid things. They keep being the idiot of they keep throwing up all over themselves that I can't get over it. The first team since 2023, says the New York Jets on Twitter. They tweeted this out with a graphic. First team since 2023 to start the same 5 offensive linemen for all 17 games. Yeah. Yes. Yes. One, shout out the Jets for doing something that has not been done in the NFL for an entire year. Crazy. Also, shout out the Jets for being arguably the worst team in the National Football League this year and bragging about their starting offensive line. Maybe they sucked. Maybe they were really, really bad to watch and awful, but at least they were consistent and started every game in 2025. For the first time. This has happened for the first time since 2023. Idiot of the day, the New York Jets and their social media team for putting this graphic out. We just, in a world where you can or cannot, don't. Please just don't. Idiot of the day. Allegedly, the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs released a statement on Wednesday confirming they are aware of domestic violence allegations, allegedly, against wide receiver Rashee Rice. Without mentioning Rice by name, the organization declined to further comment. OJ Spivey retweets with, as a league source told me earlier this season, he should never have been allowed back on the field, and they know it. Allegedly. Protect ourselves. Yeah, the Rashee Rice situation, when someone accuses you of domestic violence, they have 14 photos. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I'm not going to give you a guilty before innocent or whatever that legal term is. I'm not going to give you all that. You can you can come to your own conclusions yourself. But again, I'm just giving you the context. We are talking about the guy who was driving his car really, really fast in Dallas and wrecked the car and got out of the car and walked away. Which, I took street law in high school. Jeff Rice taught that class. Street law was the class that most of the kids were in there to break the law. They were learning how to break the law. And I felt it my calling to meet these friends, these peers where they were, and speak with them on how I, too, could one day break the law with them. Rashee Rice would have really liked street law. I learned in that class, you cannot, they call it a hit and run. It is illegal. You cannot do that. And we, as a society, we typically look at National Football League players when they do a bad, and we go, but the guy's fast. Guy's got good hands. 14 photos, 14 pieces of evidence. Allegedly, that happened with Rashee Rice. We'll see if he ever plays again. You decide. Idiot of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs. And anyone who wore the free 4 shirts. I'll say it again. If I ever get arrested for something I obviously did, like admittedly did, I hope you all wear T-shirts that say free DT. I know he did it. I know it was really bad, but free my man, just because. Time for some NFL quick picks. Wild Card Weekend is on tap. This is the Drake Toll Show with Westwood One Sports and Westwood One Sports app. I am Drake Toll. Wild Card Weekend, the Rams and the Panthers. 10.5 points. 10.5 points. The Rams are favored by. I can't touch that personally. Not allowed to. Legally, I can't be within 200 feet of the Rams minus 10.5. I hate that. I hate the Panthers plus 10.5. I'm staying away from this game. Bears and Packers. Packers by 1. A pick'em. Basically a pick'em. On the road, Soldier Field, and the Bears have not beaten the Packers in a playoff game, in a home playoff game at least, since World War II. Green Bay favored. I think the wrong team is favored. I think Matt LaFleur may be coaching his final game for Green Bay on a snowy evening in Chicago tomorrow night. Love the Bears' chances with Caleb Williams because of how they're playing. I watched that Packers-Ravens game a couple weeks ago. It did not look good. Bills-Jags. This one's flipped back and forth, also a pick'em. Bills have gone up in the betting lines. I've seen it at 2 in a couple spots. This thing opened at Bills minus 1.5. It sits about Bills minus 1.5 right now. Should I trust? Do we forget how good the Jaguars are as we speak? Should I trust Josh Allen in the playoffs again? Should I? No. Jaguars. 49ers, Eagles. My friend Kevin Harlan came on this show and said the Eagles are the team to beat. They are the Super Bowl champion Eagles and should be respected as such. I like their odds against the 49ers. I like their odds enough to play them. Patriots, Chargers. New England only favored by 3.5. They're playing at home as a 14-3 team in the AFC, but they are 1-2. Listen to that stat. 1-2 against teams with a winning record. But that's not what we do in the NFL. We don't say, hey, this team can't go to the playoffs because they only beat so many teams with a winning record because their schedule was too easy. You can't tell me any given Sunday and then take away the whole any given Sunday moniker when we're talking about the Patriots. Yeah, I mean, anybody can beat anybody, but the league's so easy for New England. Their schedule was so easy. That's a lazy take. That's a lazy take. You keep telling me, too, that Justin Herbert has no help around him. Well, if that's the case, give me New England in a night game at home on Sunday, and then Texans Steelers Monday. We will get to plenty of that. But I'll give you a hint. As of today, as of January 9th, at 8:13:07 Eastern Time in the morning, I'm leaning Pittsburgh. I'm an insane person. I don't even know. I struggle to believe myself with it, but I'm leaning Pittsburgh as we speak. Here's what you need to know, though. That's all fun and games. Do you really care? Should you care when Talking Head, Radio Voice, Voice of God, The Drake Toll Show, anybody is like, I think the Panthers will win. I think the Bears will win. That's all whatever to me. The pick'ems are whatever to me. Because I can pick a team and you can pick a team. I watch this. I see the league. You watch this. You see the league. I'm here so you and I can relish in this together. I'm not here to tell you I know more than you. Oh, you think the Packers are going to win? You're stupid. Nope. Not here to say all that. I'm here for us to work together. I'm here for a symbiotic relationship with you. Platonic. And that's why I'm going to feed you this stat. Let me feed you, dog. All 6 wildcard games are outdoors this weekend. This is from Evan Abrams. All 6 wildcard games are outdoors this weekend. Since 2004, outdoor wildcard games are 49-23 to the under. 68% to the under. 49 times the under's hit, 23 times it has not. At 41 points or higher in those outdoor wildcard games, the under is 42-14. Drum roll, please. I was told we had a drum roll. We do. Panthers, Rams, outdoors, 45.5 is the spread. Or the total, I should say. Rams minus 10.5 is the spread. That's gross. 45.5, love the under. Bears, Packers, bad weather, 44.5, love the under. I just gave 42. The under since 04 is 42-14. 42-14. At a point total of 41 or higher since 2004. 44.5 for Bears, Packers, under. Bills, Jags, 51.5, under. 49ers, Eagles, 44.5, under. Patriots, Chargers, 45.5, under. Texans, Steelers, 38.5. Think about it. 38.5 is probably more accurate for the Bears and the Packers. Under City, you and I are going to win together. We're going to win together. We're in this together. You win money, I win money. You have a good viewing experience, I have a good viewing experience. We watch the defense. That's what matters. That's what you need to know. You don't need to know, oh, I listened to the Drake Toll Show today, and he said that he thinks the Bills will beat the Jaguars. No. That's fun, and I'll pick those. We'll do it together. We'll try to help each other win, but I'm going to give you the inside stuff. The average over-under is 45.6 this weekend. 45.6. 42-14. 42 times the under is hit. 14 times the over has hit. Since 04 in outdoor wildcard games. With a point total of 41 or higher. I'm just giving you the facts. Let's work together. Later on in the show, I'm hearing that we will have Kevin Harlan join us on the biggest storyline in America. You're not going to want to miss that. You're not going to want to miss it. But coming up, let's talk Jaguars and why they actually will win. Yeah, that's right. I'm Drake Toll. This is the Drake Toll Show. Yeah. Imagine seeing that after adult gummies.
Bomba-dee-da, 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 until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on till then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and think about sunny weather. 2, 3, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Some trails are happy ones, other trails are blue. It's the way you ride that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you till we meet
to the brain.
We're back on the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One, the Westwood One Sports app. NFL wildcard weekend is here. Last night, we saw Miami trounce Ole Miss, outlast the Rebels. Tonight, we will watch Indiana square off against Oregon in a rematch. And this weekend, it's nothing but playoff football. National Football League to the college ranks, and I'm glued to it. Also glued to it, the expert on the Jacksonville Jaguars, the full scope of the NFL. Mia O'Brien, she carries it all for ESPN Radio. Mia, people are forgetting the Jacksonville Jaguars may be the hottest team in the NFL right now. People are forgetting their win streak in the context of them playing Josh Allen and the Bills. Why? Why is the disrespect there for Jacksonville the way it seems to be?
Well, if you ask Sean Payton, Drake, it's because it's a small market team and people forget that they play football down there in Jacksonville. And not only do they have the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we also claim the quarterback of the national champion appearing Miami Hurricanes and Carson Beck. So I don't know. I don't know where it stems from outside of, for whatever the reason, I guess it's because of the futile years circa 2008 to 2017. People decided that much like in the Draft Day movie where the Jags are the butt of the joke, that's what the Jags would be in pop culture. And maybe a little bit of some other television programming has lent its hand to that. But ultimately, no, this is a team that everyone who I speak to nationally who covers the league will tell you it's hard to find a flaw right now in this Jaguars outfit. And with that said, to be clear, Josh Allen has the ability to go nuclear. The Jaguars very much could lose this game because it's any given Sunday in the National Football League. But in the same vein, unlike the other 13 teams in the field where you can distinctively point to something and say, yeah, that could come back to bite them, it's really hard to poke holes in the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2025, 2026.
Mia, you've got a great pulse across the NFL, so I want to take what you just said and bounce around a bit, come off the Jags for a second. Any given Sunday, we hear that adage thrown around, but then at this part of the year, a lot of the national talking heads or fans want to tell you that New England, they're fool's gold because they haven't beaten enough. Yeah, it's any given Sunday, but their schedule isn't strong enough for them to be a stalwart in the 2026 postseason. Are you buying the idea that New England's schedule was too easy for them to actually compete for a Super Bowl?
Well, you're asking the wrong gal because I've been on the Drake May train for 2+ years now, not just because of the time at North Carolina, just some of the anecdotes I heard during his pre-draft process. I'll share one with you because I've shared it with these individuals, but Carter Bradley, the son of longtime NFL coach and former Jaguars head coach Gus Bradley, Carter's now the practice squad quarterback here for the Jags, ironically enough, but this was 2 years ago when that was a glimmer in his eye, and unfortunately he didn't get the invite to the combine that he previously anticipated getting. He was doing his pre-draft workout with QB country, ironically Phillip Rivers down in Alabama, but he also was training with two starting quarterbacks now in the National Football League in Bo Nix and Drake May. And Drake May literally canceled his flight to sit and have lunch with Carter and be his friend. And that's a small thing, and that has nothing to do with football, but at the same time, it has everything to do with football. And the moment I heard that, combined with the stat that I believe was always going to be indicative of Drake May's play in the NFL, which is his completion percentage. The fact that he had no weapons last year, you could argue he still doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of weapons up there. And the completion percentage last year was still top 15 in the NFL. That's when I said, okay, at the very least, this is a guy who is going to be a quote unquote game manager. And so the fact that you couple that with the rocket arm, elite teammate, high IQ, I've never had a doubt about Drake May. And so, no, I don't buy the schedule could come back to haunt them, because I also don't doubt Mike Vrabel, who, of course, coached in the AFC South for 6 seasons, 5 of which I was here. And so I don't doubt that combination at all. Would not surprise me at all if they upset the Los Angeles Chargers, who, as we're talking about poking holes, let's be real, they may have the weakest position group across all 14 rosters at this current juncture with their offensive line.
Yeah, that line has not been good. Everybody loves to tell you that Justin Herbert is the only thing going right for the Chargers. It's very hyperbolic. He's got some studs, some horses in the stable. The offensive line is not where those reside. We'll take you back. Mia O'Brien with us on the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports. Mia joining us from ESPN Radio. Let's talk these Jaguars again, and the offensive output over the course of this win streak. I do think the defense, and I don't think it could go. You go without saying it. You get to this point in the season, you have to have some sort of defense. The Jags have that, but the offensive output has carried them in this win streak. Is that what Cohen and company are leaning on in the postseason? Hey, let's use a new age NFL offense in an era where the quarterback is so important, the offense is so important. Let's utilize that formula to win the Super Bowl. We'll give you 14, 17, 20 points. Our offense will do the other job.
See, that's the funny part, is the offense hasn't come alive until the last 8 weeks, so the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Yes, you can point to the Jaguars' win streak coinciding with that offensive explosion. But from the moment Liam Cohen stepped to the podium and, formally accepted the job as the head coach of the Jaguars, the trenches, physicality, and running the football were the three things that he said he wanted this team to be built on. And I still believe it is built on, and it's what's going to carry them through the postseason. I think the fact that Trevor Lawrence and this offense have come together in the passing attack over the last few weeks is the cherry on top for where Liam Cohen and this operation thought they would be 365 days ago. And it's not to say they didn't believe that Trevor Lawrence wasn't the prince who was promised, as of course Nick Wright of Fox Sports 1 loves to say,
Yep.
But there was a belief that it was going to take a couple months, if not a year, for Trevor to truly grasp this offense, not to mention, as they quickly found out through the first few weeks of the season, they maybe didn't have, I don't want to say the horses for course, but they didn't have that one turnkey that would unlock the passing attack until they traded for Jacoby Myers, who truly is, in terms of infrastructure, he is the spine of this offensive structure. And by having someone who will do the dirty work underneath, those deep dig routes and blocking and creating space for others, can go inside or outside, you have that player and you combine that with the emphasis on running the football and being the more physical outfit. And that's where, because you're challenging a team to already compete with that, then you also have Trevor Lawrence throwing it around the yard. That's where I think you're seeing this team, I don't want to say exceed expectations, but they're at a point in their evolution that I don't think anyone thought they'd be at this juncture. And so now it's a matter of continuing to sustain it. And that's where I think Liam Cohen's greatest strength lies, in completely transforming much of the same roster from a year ago into believing that they have to just go 1-0 each day, not even each week, each day. And I know Mario Cristobal yelled it on TV last night, but the same mantra holds true in little old Duval as well.
I hope those listening, driving in their car in Butte, Montana, sitting at work in Hoover, Alabama, know this is free for them. Like, Mia O'Brien is just dropping complete ball knowledge on you about Liam Cohen and the way he's transformed the Jaguars that you only get from the insiders, and it is free right in front of your ears. Mia, on that note, you've whether it's press conferences or hearing from the coaching staff and sources close to the franchise, this last 6-7 days, the fan base to what you're hearing from inside the locker room, what is the rhetoric? What is the rhetoric of the team and the pulse of the fan base as it sits going into this weekend?
Yeah, I think everybody's leaning into, rallying against Duval, against all y'all, which has been, in the 7+ years I've covered the team, it's always been a sentiment. But I think what's cool is, comparatively to 2017, which I was not here for, where it truly was a brash group that was predicated on their defense and had no issue grabbing a microphone and saying that we are going to bleep, bleep, bleep. That's not what this group's MO is. This group certainly has that quiet confidence. A lot of them have been tweeting out the sh-ing emoji. And I think it's because they're not worried about what anyone else thinks. And I think that for a town that, because of the futile years that have dominated the 2020s and the 2010s and the entire 21st century here in Jacksonville, I think that for so long throughout this 8-game win streak, people have been waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think they're finally coming around to this idea that even if the Jaguars lose on Sunday, this is sustainable. This is not going to go away. This is not a one-year blip on the radar like 2017 and 2022 proved to be. And it's because they're ahead of schedule, and the schedule still has about 20 more steps that it's got to get to. Last night, the Jaguars in-house channel dropped their The Hunt, which is their in-house documentary series. It was an hour-long episode, highly recommend. And in a meeting, Liam Cohen said to his team over the last few weeks, they documented it. He said, we've never talked about Super Bowl. We've never talked about playoffs. We've just talked about if we have a championship mindset every day, the scoreboard is going to take care of itself. And truly, I think people in this town are buying into it, which for me is extremely encouraging because, Drake, I've spent most of the last 2 months telling people to stop being burdened by what has been. Unfortunately, I respect the triggering of plenty of collapses and the Urban Meyer of it all and what have you. But I think the Jaguar fans are finally coming around to this idea of, hey, this is different than what you've seen over the last 31 years of Jaguars football.
Mia, if you're fighting the good fight for NFL fans to be reasonable, I think we're all going to be fighting that for a long time. that is the level-headedness I certainly respect. And look, I would be remiss if I did not pitch you this before we go, and it is the diverse angles and ways in which you cover all sports. We have talked a bit here and there, but I want to spend a couple minutes on it. On the women's college basketball scene, one of the biggest storylines, Audie Crooks has been somebody that I've watched a ton this season because she's an electric force offensively. The storylines of the SEC and as dominant as they've been with Vanderbilt. But really quickly, Kim Mulkey, LSU, losing to Kentucky, losing to Vanderbilt. I was around Mulkey when she was at Baylor for 4 years. And look, the strength of schedule's not quite there. Is this LSU team built to be a national championship contender?
They're a Final Four team. I truly believe that, and I think that's if they play to their ceiling. You saw Kate Koval go off in the last 2 weeks, and I think the fact that they actually have some front court depth that outside of Anissa Morrow they were sorely missing last year after the graduation of Angel Reese, I think that's going to help them. Make no mistake, I mean, they challenged South Carolina and UConn for the best backcourt in the sport right now. And Michigan. I'll throw Michigan in there as well because they're really a nice little, if you want to sprinkle a dark horse to make the Final Four, I'd certainly sprinkle it on the Wolverines and their sensational sophomore class. But I do think that, Flau'jae Johnson and friends, there's depth among their guards that I think can carry them, and they're a veteran group that obviously won a national title her freshman year. So there's belief there. But, yeah, the SEC is dog-eat-dog. But I will tell you, since I know you are the aficionado of the Big 12, my favorite conference in women's basketball right now. And it's funny because I also host the women's basketball podcast with Mitch Northam of USA Today on OG Triangle Media, where you can find it wherever your podcasts are. And Mitch and I did a whole episode back in September about say something nice about the Big 12 because we had no pulse on it. There was no idea because Olivia Miles is coming in. You're adding in Jada Williams from Arizona to pair with Audie Crooks. And maybe you see something rejuvenate in Iowa State, in Ames, that took maybe a step back last year. Baylor, Talia Scott coming in after stops at 2 SEC schools. Cincinnati is out here recruiting better than anyone. And so there were so many, mysterious storylines in the Big 12, and now it's as dog-eat-dog as anybody. Hell, Texas Tech's coach was on the hot seat 5 minutes ago, and now they're undefeated and one of 3 undefeateds in the country. So great conference, and I think that we're still going to talk about the SEC. Obviously, UConn's in a class of its own in the Big East. The Big Ten is also strong as heck. But, yeah, it's a good time to be a women's basketball fan, even if, per se, the characters aren't there that there were 2 years ago. In the same vein, I think, to your first point, I think Audie Crooks is about to become that main character in the sport.
Yep. By now, if you haven't already, Arizona State, Molly Miller, what she's building there is incredible as well. LSU, and the reason that is top of mind this week, taking on number 2 Texas on Sunday. It will be a big-time bout and will certainly be on one of my 9 TVs that I need for this weekend. They follow that up by going at number 5 Oklahoma. Mia O'Brien, ESPN Radio, the expert on the NFL, women's college basketball, the WNBA, anything, you name it, Mia's on it. Mia, thanks so much for joining the Drake Toll Show.
Absolutely. Great talking to you guys. Have a good weekend.
You too. Mia, at Mia O'Brien, I should say TV, at Mia O'Brien TV on Twitter. Coming up, it's the moment of the week from the Drake Toll Show where we will, 1, learn to talk, 2, revisit it. Mike Mayock will also be on Bleck and Abdallah today at 12:25 to preview Jags Bills and the Wild Card Weekend. He'll be on the call for Westwood One. And today's show is sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. The moment of the week in the Drake Toll Show, and Kevin Harlan just blew my mind. Absolutely stunned with what Kevin Harlan had to say on another one of our Westwood One sports shows this week. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Duval.
Our naked bodies go on trial just for laughing at the joke, just for saying of the bargain what any sales girl already knows. Most of us old men die at the firing line, just waiting for our number to be called. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Now the king gets his stepson when he's loaded as a gun. Says a real man is like a country. You need a map to find your one. Now I do you suppose you must approach the throne with its back up against the wall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. British minds of my generation gladly conscripted in the war of defending any Goliath that would deign darken the door. Now with your genius for picking battles, it's no wonder every helmet is too small. I guess time just makes fools of us all. I guess time just makes fools of us all. My drink is watered down. The champ is on his knees. He lost the rematch. He lost the comeback. He lost for charity, but that's the job. It's what gets the asses in the hall. They came for a beating, and he came to throw. Notice that of all the young gods I have known, yours is easily the least famous to turn down the cover of a Rolling Stone. Lily white faces, so familiar and yet impossible to recall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. After a millennia of good times, God said, hey now, let's have a dream where we raise the stakes a little. Come on, let's make things interesting. Parachute into the Anthropocene, an amnesiac, a him-broken doll. I guess time does make fools of us all.
Come on. Let's do it. It's Friday. Like we get done with work today, and we're good, man. We're good. We get to watch Indiana and Oregon. wild card on Saturday, wild card on Sunday. And yeah, the Sunday scaries are going to hit you. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. There's no way you avoid
I killed a rattlesnake this morning.
Monday, and Monday's tomorrow. The
It was coiled up.
Don't you understand? But Monday
behind the
we
truck.
got Steelers.
Put it in reverse and hit him clean.
Tomorrow afternoon,
he
I'll be watching
said
Rams game.
when it stuck.
Shooting straight, and it's such a
Hey, I can
situation.
sell you
That game made
a million records.
the Rams could win
I
by
mean, your
45.
image could use an overhaul.
Kansas could muck it up.
Don't you know time just makes fools of us all?
$319. They're going down a little bit. Everybody else, not looking at that.
Headline said
About
southbound
college football playoff. The NFL playoff.
loses exodus.
I'm wondering,
That's
how
where
are we
you'll
all missing
find
the
me
true storyline?
in Las
Con
Vegas.
Kniffel and Cooper Flack, Rookie of the Year. How am I not talking about this? Fuck.
Me and Dixie,
There's a man who knows far more than I.
we had ourselves a ball.
Kevin Harlan joined Josh Graham. Talk storyline maybe of the week.
I followed
Con
my
Kniffel,
dream,
Cooper Flack. Who could it be now?
and my dream said crawl.
You can tell it's never
The groom is a liar,
We are in the middle of
and the
sports
bride
habit.
is a
There's so
shill.
much to talk about, so much to go over,
priest said,
so much to love about
if
this.
these two
this
don't
time of
make
year.
it,
Cooper Flack,
who among us ever
breaking
will?
news, Chris.
Don't ask the love you dare for a prediction wherein the lovers of tomorrow are involved.
Hearing right now, Cooper Flack
I
or Con
guess
Kniffel
time
will be Rookie of the Year in the year.
just makes fools.
To the NFL we go. For the playoffs.
I guess time just makes
Tim Barber
fools
won the great bullshit.
of us all.
Spectacular, yeah. Break it up, break it up. With the Ravens, John Harbaugh.
I guess time just makes fools
In the
of
meantime,
us all.
what you need to know, what should be emphasized to you once again, as you go into this postseason, as you go into the weekend, under is your friend. Expect these games to be mucked up, and I'll give you the numbers again. We were working together. You and I are working together on this. Since 2004, outdoor wildcard games are 49 and 23 to the under, and at 41 or higher in those wildcard games, the under is 42 and 14. Plenty of games, including the Packers and Bears, that the under looks juicy on. Time for our moment of the week. Tim Barbalaise. Wow. I'm hearing this for the first time.
Much to do in so little time.
That was the day I invented time.
Is it set up on it?
Is always against us.
Still got time on it?
What's happening?
He can talk now.
Is it done? Is it over?
Yeah, it's done.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay, Drake Toll. I only sent this to you last night.
You sent it to me. I, as I do, it was a friend's birthday last night, so I had a really good dinner and a couple glasses of wine and some adult vitamins, some adult fruit snacks, and I went to bed. What time did you send that to me?
I sent that to you at like 8:30. So you even had time this morning before to listen.
I definitely could have listened.
That way.
If it was in my
Yes.
email, I'm not reading it. If it was in my email, I'm not opening. I have currently on my
Yes,
computer.
I do know that.
I have the red thing that tells you how many unread emails you have. 102,976. Yours is somewhere.
Yes, I know. I get a text today at like 5, literally 5:15 what are my minutes for the day? And I said, check your email.
My email had not refreshed. My Westwood One email is brand new. I have to refresh it and relog in once every 7 days, which is the worst, by the way. There are two things I hate in life. One, racism. Two, my email making me refresh it once a week. I'll hold a press conference about it this weekend. Our moment of the week. It's time to rewind and take you back to the top things that we heard on the Drake Toll Show. Hit me with that rewind again, please, my friend.
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days.
So much to do in so little time.
That was the day I invented time travel.
Time is always against us.
Here we go. Tim Barbalace joined the show. That's great stuff, Addy. Really good. Glad I could enjoy it this time and not be surprised and in shock. Tim Barbalace joined the show on Kevin Stefanski being the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Here we go.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of the question that I was asking.
150.
How do they view this? Because this is much different than 2008 when John Harbaugh came in, where the team's in a much different spot. Ravens didn't have a quarterback at that time. They ended up drafting Joe Flacco a few months later, but no one thought that they would experience the immediate success that they did. The next coach that comes to Baltimore, whether it's a rookie, whether it's an experienced guy, it's a win now job, man. Like you can't ease into this in Baltimore. This is, you have Lamar Jackson in the prime of his career, and you need to win now. And I think Clint Kubiak, do you want him? Chris Shula, the younger guys along those lines. Brian Flores' name has been thrown out a lot. We know how that ended poorly in Miami, but a guy that's been in Pittsburgh and Minnesota since then. Heck, I know some Ravens fans wouldn't be for it, but I think Kevin Stefanski and the job he did in Cleveland, if you can win Coach of the Year twice in Cleveland, win a playoff game in Cleveland, I think you should get a statue built for you. So I think Stefanski being an offensive mind is someone that I'm keeping an eye on as well. But the Ravens are going to have their pick, man. Like they are going to have their pick of who they want because of just how this franchise is seen in such a great light, because of the stability. You don't have to worry about coming here and think about, oh, geez, is my owner going to fire me after 1 year? There's been 3 coaches in Ravens franchise history. So you don't have to worry about crazy ownership. Steve Bisciotti is very well respected in the NFL.
Great from Tim Barbalace about the future of the Ravens. Somebody will be handed the keys to a franchise ready to win the Super Bowl. No need to rebuild. You will get Lamar Jackson and be able to win right away. Stefanski could be, and I think should be, that guy, considering he took, as Barbalace said, the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs, not once, but twice. Tim also spoke on John Harbaugh possibly being the next Andy Reid. This coaching carousel has been nuts, Tim. Andy Reid?
Well, it's something we've been talking about a lot locally on
90.
Baltimore is the fact that where did John Harbaugh come?
We'll have like 2 minutes on the other side.
For coming to Baltimore, it was Philadelphia. Who did he work under? It was Andy Reid. Could John Harbaugh parallel what Andy Reid went through? Andy Reid got ran out of Philadelphia. Andy Reid was extremely successful in Philadelphia, couldn't get over the hump. John Harbaugh, he did win a Super Bowl. The Eagles moved on from Andy Reid, which is a tough decision. But it worked out pretty well for both parties, right? The Eagles, they won multiple Super Bowls. Andy Reid got a dynasty in Kansas City. I think when you're talking about John Harbaugh, one of his best attributes is whatever team he goes to, he is going to significantly raise the floor of that organization. That they are going to be competitive. They are going to be in it. Now, has he lost his fastball? He did in Baltimore. I think it's fair to say, did the message get stale? Did he lose some of those guys in the locker room? Sure. He was there 18 years. I just think this could be a situation where John's reinvigorated. He goes to an organization that maybe needs a bit of a culture change, much like it was in 2008 when he was at Baltimore. I think John absolutely could experience success elsewhere.
Again, Tim Barbalace, who hosts the Ravens pregame show on 105.7 The Fan. It's one of the biggest storylines this week. John Harbaugh, the Hall of Famer, being fired by the Baltimore Ravens. He'll be a Ravens Hall of Famer, not just an NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl winning coach, but he is out. Where will they turn to? Black Monday was Black Tuesday. Then it was Black Thursday. Now on Friday, college football to the NFL. The playoffs are here. The chase for a Super Bowl, for a national championship on the line. Relish it. Touch yourself. We're real. We get to experience this. The beauty of sports that culminates with a weekend like
Touch
this.
yourself.
There will not be another day in all of 2026 that has this many playoff games. A weekend with this many playoff games in 2026. We won't get it. Cherish it. Take some PTO on Monday. Heck, while you're at it, take PTO on Tuesday, too. We'll be back here on Monday. I'm not taking PTO. On Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, we will break down specifically Steelers and Texans on Monday and recap everything that is about to happen. Put a pin in this moment. 8:54:03 Eastern Time. Put a pin in this moment. And let's revisit it in a couple of days. Let's revisit it on Monday. And remember what we lacked in knowledge today versus then. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Addie Bates produces. Armor Williams, our PD, shout out him. What up? This has been It Always Will Be, The Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.